ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to our dance of Rahu and Ketu of the 3rd and 9th house. And this week we are going to be covering Rahu in the 3rd house, Ketu in the 9th house, and what happens when they're sitting in these houses. So yeah, today's video is going to be of when Rahu is sitting in your 3rd house, Ketu is sitting in your 9th house. That's the axis that we're going to talk about. Now, obviously, many of you have questions like, you're talking about axis. This also means Ketu in the 3rd house, Rahu in the 9th house. No, I'm going to cover that. Remember, I'm going in cycles. 1st and 7th house, 2nd and 8th house, 3rd and 9th house, 4th and 10th house. Then I'm going to reverse it. So then my 7th video on this series will be of Ketu in the ascendant, Rahu in the 7th house. No. Yeah, Ketu in the ascendant, Rahu in the 7th house. God, the notes get me confused, man. And that's what they love doing. They love confusing you. So that's what we're going to discuss this week. And as always, if you do not know where your Rahu and Ketu are placed, what sign they're in, what nakshatra they're in, what house they're in, for that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction Aspects, and Mahadashas at the Speed of Light, including all my consultations here, and I also have a Rahu Ketu reading as well here as well. So let's get started with our Rahu Ketu dance, people. So, what is the 3rd and 9th house? First of all, we want to understand that. 3rd house represents writing, journalism, arts, media, creativity, performing arts, television, online entertainment, cloud computing nowadays, marketing, sales, short distance travel, transformation, and surgeries. That's right. 3rd house is a transformation and surgeries. Why? Think about it. Which house is the house of transformation and surgeries? It's the 8th house, right? But guess what the 3rd house is? 3rd house is 8th from the 8th. It becomes the higher self of the 8th house. So like, when you have a major surgery, like brain surgery, taking out your guts and replacing them, and some like really big surgeries mostly can be seen from the 3rd house. Including the fact that a person can see things, experience supernatural things, experience, things beyond this plane can also be seen with the 3rd house, because remember, it is the higher self of the 8th house. Then you have 9th house. And remember, 3rd house can represent many things. 3rd house can represent gains of your children. It can represent father of your spouse, many things. But 9th house represents teachers, preachers, counselor, advisors, father, pilgrimage, long distance travel, postgrad education, religion, spirituality, religious organizations. It represents many other things. In some cases, it may even represent, I think, even the plumbing system of your house. So you can just go by from each house and connect. So that's what happens. Like 9th house can also represent illnesses for your mother. Why? Because 4th house is mother. 6th from the 4th house is illnesses of the mother. So you have these two axes now. And if you have this from the ascendant or the moon, you're going to dance on these axes. And remember what I said, ascendant is the karma that is being unveiled to you in this life. When you look at this axis from the moon, it shows what exactly this axis is going to do beyond your control. That's a very important thing. Just like we study the transit with moon and ascendant, same thing, ascendant and moon chart becomes very important, because moon represents that prarabdha karma, meaning the karma that you cannot change, that you cannot wear any gemstones for, any remedies for. It is to happen. Although gemstones won't do anything, regardless of the fact if you do it for either chart. But I'm just saying, this is something you just have to happen. And remember, this doesn't mean that it's negative. This can be you are supposed to go from rag to riches at one point in your life. Kind of like Rajnikant. I'm actually going to make a horoscope on him. I'm waiting for my costumes to arrive. And then we'll make a horoscope on him. And I know I promise I will not do people who are living. But the thing is, I'm only going to discuss very small portion of his chart and nothing else. I'm not going to discuss anything negative about his future, nothing like that. So just know that. So you have this from your ascendant. That means you yourself are always feel like I'm dancing in this realm of third and ninth house. So now Rahu is in the third house. Third house also represents your stamina, courage, skills. It's your, vitality, that your power. Because remember, third house is hands. So when I make them fists, now I have power to hit somebody, kick somebody's ass. So that's what, the third house also represents. So Rahu, you got to understand, is an energy that explodes things. It doesn't expand things. Okay? Rahu will explode it. Like when they say Jupiter expands, it's just think of a balloon being expanded. And you know how Rahu is? The best way to Rahu is, when you get into an accident now and the airbag comes out, that balloon of the airbag, that's Rahu. Like, bam, that's it, I'm here. Like people who receive mass fame in one day, like they go on some talent show and next thing you know, 2 million people watch. And then after that, 100 million people watch on YouTube. Instant fame overnight, that can represent by Rahu. So Rahu becomes this energy, first of all, that you are trying to master in this life. You don't have mastery over Rahu. Rahu shows that where you are to learn your lessons. The things where you're immature at are the third house. The expertise you bring is the ninth house. Because that's your past. That's the tail of your karma. Head of your karma is looking forward and tail is in the back, wagging of the serpent. So shows the things that you have completed in past life, the things that you have dealt in the past life, and based upon all the accumulations of lives or certain lives, you are getting this node. So naturally you will see that these people, first of all, have great amount of courage. They feel like I can achieve anything in this world. They are always ambitious in terms of like wanting to achieve material success. They're like, oh, that's nothing for me, I can achieve it. Like, how some people, like especially when I'm doing my consultations, I hear people when I advise them that, hey, look, you should do business, you have this thing, and the first thing that it would say, well, my family is not from a business family, I don't have money to start a business, and I don't know anything about business, so how can I start a business? Rahu in the third house will say, even if I didn't advise this Rahu to do business, they'll be like, can I just do something on my own? I want to be famous, I want to be big, I want to be the Ambani. They naturally feel like I just need this path. So when I tell these type of people like, okay, you should do something on your own. You can do a lot with your own effort. And they're like, yes, I do want to do something on my own effort. Why? Because they don't feel like these are limits. They don't look at these things as a wall. Like, I'm not from this family. I don't know anything about business. I don't have any money. They started from scratch. So if I suggest somebody, so I had a person who had the same alignment, and Mars was in the fourth house in the sign of Cancer, Nakshatra Pushya. And I suggested to them that, look, especially with your Mars being the Amatyakarka, you will do excellent as a chef. You'll do excellent as, somebody being a cook. And although they were from, not the greatest of financial background, very, very, I would say lower middle class family. However, when I suggested that, look, you should start your own business in either food, culinary arts, restaurants, and they're like, well, how can I? Well, I'm suggesting them, look, think, you got the Rahu energy. You start making food at home. Start making lunches for people in your colony. Advertise it. If they like your food, they will come back to it. They will come back more for your food. And once you start building this in a year or two, then you buy a small cart. You take it to the nearest mall. Take it to the beach, start giving people food. Then build your reputation there. From that reputation, then you can go to the bank, ask for a loan, get a restaurant. So with Rahu and Ketu third and ninth axis, Rahu is able to give them encouragement. Like, look, I don't care if I have no money in my pocket. I think I can do this. I know I can do this. So mentally, when I'm looking at a chart, I know exactly the type of reply I might get, or type of encouragement that they will feel or they will not feel. And that becomes a struggle. With most people, the success part, if you really look at it, is the axis of Rahu and Ketu, where the encouragement and discouragement comes in, where the fear comes in, because Rahu is also fear. Rahu is the shadow of Saturn. Saturn and anxiety, fear. Rahu represents unnecessary fear, the overblown fear. Like, let's say if I told somebody, or let's say if I was a father and I told my son, that's it, you get out, go do something on your own. Go find your own place, do something. The fear will come in. Oh my God, what will I do? What's gonna happen? Oh no. Like if father said, no, you gotta go to Gurukul and go to military school, they'll be full of fear. They'll be like, oh my God, I'm out of my element. But they don't realize that once they go and they do things on their own, they will learn so much that they will come back and thank their father, that thank you for getting me out on my own. Thank you for kicking me out. I wouldn't have been a millionaire if I did. So for some people, this fear comes in with Rahu. Wherever Rahu is placed, that is the fearful part for you, because you're always very sensitive about those parts. You're always feeling sensitive with that. But Rahu then, it's like best thing about Rahu, wherever Rahu is placed, is like a horror movie. When you watch a horror movie, what happens? Like when you go with your significant other, with your friends, you're going into the theater. Naturally, when you saw the trailer, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to watch this. This is too much. This is too scary. Yet something inside you says, go watch. Just go, man. This is going to be great. And you're sitting in the theater. The movie starts. Middle of the movie, the most suspenseful scene comes. You're closing your eyes. You're looking at the theater, because this is what I do. I love watching horror movies, but some scenes, man, I can't look. But then I'm looking. That's what Rahu is. You're fearful of that, but yet you want it. So naturally, these people in the third house, and depending upon the sign, make excellent salesmen, excellent performing artists. They have a knack for collecting information. Like whatever interest they have, let's say they have interest of collecting astrological knowledge. Somehow, some way, if let's say I wanted somebody to find me a manuscript for something, I'm like, look, there's this manuscript in Tamil Nadu, and they have this, it shows you about these planets, that planet. Can you please go find it? I don't know where to find it. This person with Rahu in the third house will somehow find it. It just comes to this person, the information. Because remember, Rahu is exploding that third house. For them, information becomes very important. Collecting new information becomes very important, but especially tabooic information. Information that may be against the social norms of society. Because Rahu, Ketu are outcast planets. When they do things, they don't do it with the norm. They do it with the most abnormal way. And this is why there's a great competitiveness in these people, especially from the ascendant, because this is something that you're exerting. Your ego rises to a very high level, which actually is not good. You feel like anybody can, first of all, you feel like everything is a challenge for you. That's a challenge, this is a challenge, oh, I'll challenge you, I'll beat you in this, I'll beat you. So very immature mind comes in, first of all. When you're growing up with Rahu in the third house, you could be a bully. You'll always try to be the best at whatever. Whether you mature later on, but growing up, you will be a very rebellious, egotistical, nonsensical person. You will make some of the dumbest mistakes. You will get into fights with innocent people. Why? Because third house is also the ego. Third house represents, this is my identity. First house is you, third house represents my courage, my actions. I did this. Me. Look at this. Self-made person. And then you forget about where Ketu is. Why? Wherever Ketu sits, this is where the tail of the karma is. Because you did something in the past, this is why you have this access. So 9th house, first of all, you will reject religion. Organized religion, you will reject. What you will embrace, obviously, is spiritual knowledge, but later in life. You will reject the teachings of your father. Naturally, your ego will not allow you to learn anything from the father, and you will feel like my father is taking me into the wrong direction. You will also have 2 or more fathers or gurus, because wherever Ketu sits is going to split it in 2. And whatever higher knowledge you're learning, it will be against your dharma. Meaning, let's say you are a Buddha, let's say you're a Christian. Your dharma is to go to a church, follow the Bible. Okay. But then with this Ketu, what happens is you suddenly switch your religion from Hinduism to or Christianity to Hinduism, or Christianity to Islam, or Christianity to Sikhism, because of the fact Ketu rejects where it sits. So then what happens is the ego, the current of this Rahu and Ketu goes upon the 3rd house. Like, see, I don't need religion, I don't need Bible, I don't need Bhagavad Gita, I don't need Ramayana. I know what I am, I know what I want, this is what the world is. The world is a material game and chess game that I have to play and I have to conquer. So after a very long time, literally after 42 years of age is when their dharmic path gets mature. Remember, because Rahu becomes mature at 42. This is where they kind of like realize that, you know what? I've been quite ignorant in my understanding of other people and their feelings. You may even as a youngster reject a guru. Please don't do that. With Rahu in the 3rd house, Ketu in the 9th house, if you come across some spiritual guru, you come across some religious guru that you do not agree with, do not reject them or insult them, because you will have a tendency to reject that. Don't do it. If you don't agree with somebody's view, don't listen to them. Don't watch them. But don't insult them. Especially regardless of what sign it's in. You know, usually in the 3rd and 9th axis, where the sign of Sagittarius is in the 9th house, if you're an Aries ascendant, you'll be far more dharmic. You'll understand. You would love to understand foreign dharma. But in certain other signs, it may create quite a bit of chaos. But naturally shows with Ketu that you have accumulated great amount of dharma, religious knowledge, spiritual knowledge, philosophical knowledge in your life. And what's happening is you're using your past life subconscious mind, the philosophy, the knowledge to exceed through your own effort. So in a way, you are not self-made. Because even if you're self-made, let's say you are an orphan and you had to do everything on your own. You had to beg money, and then from that money you accumulated this and you become a big businessman and you're the true self-made person. Actually, you're not. It is your past experiences with people, gurus, father, mother that are stored in the 9th house, and they are subconsciously teaching you and guiding you towards the 3rd house. But one of the things that you have to really understand with Rahu in the 3rd house is that your communication will be very, very abnormal, meaning you will curse a lot when you're young. You will use extreme bad words on a regular, like your sentence may have 3 or 4 bad words. Avoid that. Especially if Rahu is with Mars in 3rd house. Rahu's in the 3rd house brings a great aggressive way of speaking. Like when you're on the phone, you know, Rahu wants everything now. And that's what Rahu is. Rahu wants everything now in this moment. It does not want to work. It does not want to wait. So when you are trying to get something and you get on the phone, I need this, you'll be extremely harsh and bold. Okay, where is it? I need it now. Is it ready? I need it now. You stop if you're not getting this to me. And you'll just say some curse words. It's like you don't even realize why you're saying that, but it'll just come out of you. When it comes to especially skills of hands, they have the most unusual skills of hands. Like for example, let's say I had somebody with Rahu in Kritika Nakshatra in Aries. Okay. I told them they'll be good at film editing, they'll be good in photography, they'll be good at technical skills. Find out that they're actually very good with like playing with fire. They're very good at like, those things that they take inside their mouth. This person was actually a performer. And so this is how you learn through experience. Like, wow, Kritika Nakshatra, fire rituals. Why didn't I put 2 and 2 together? But see how skills of hands are so unusual. Now, it does not mean that everybody in the third house will have unusual skills of hands, but they will be technically very gifted. Whether it's about making a computer, making a motherboard, editing a film, doing even calligraphy and like special writing, those old English type writing that you do by hand. They'll be very much into those things, like exotic languages and communication style. They are addicted to social media. They love to connect with people over an online platform because Rahu is internet, online, softwares. Their communicative ability shines through, especially now, social media. So back in the days, these people really shined through television. That was Rahu. Or radio. Rahu, the airwaves. Now that we have social media, Rahu finds social media as the big avenue for it to express its opinions, because third house is opinions, what I want to say. But the thing is, you have to understand, third house represents gossips, like TMZ, your tabloids. You want to know what's happening in certain celebrity. So naturally, they'll be very much about, what's happening with this person? Like especially if Rahu is in Sarava Nakshatra in Capricorn, they'll be all about listening to what's happening in my neighbor's home, what's happening with my aunts and uncles and this and that. But the tail of Ketu is where they always fall back on whenever things don't work out in the third house. They may get into a fight, with their siblings. If there are malefic impacts of Mars, Saturn, upon the third house, you may get into physical fights with your siblings, younger siblings. And when things don't work out, what happens is they retreat to the 9th house, meaning that once they are really hit hard in the third house, they look for philosophy, they look for religion, they look for some guidance from a counselor. They love to go on pilgrimage on a spiritual place, like I gotta clear my mind, I gotta go. So naturally, Ketu helps them and if you're a teenager, you will not understand this right now. You gotta pass through literally in your 30s when you see Rahu Ketu axis is really understood in 30s, especially after 36 when Saturn matures. Then the other thing you want to notice, where is this karma? What exactly karma are they bringing? Through the communication of the third house, wisdom of the 9th house, where is Rahu Ketu really? How are they affecting? Look for the dispositor of Rahu and Ketu. Like where are their dispositors sitting? So if Rahu is in the third house, where's Mercury sitting? That will show you how Rahu will be guided in this life. Where's Ketu dispositor sitting, which is Jupiter? That's the type of guidance you will always fall back on. That's the type of guidance you are bringing from past life. They bring very strong clues. Dispositor of, and especially you got to understand, if dispositor of Rahu and Ketu are conjunct in one house, I'll probably see you on TV as some big entrepreneur, some big politician, or some big movie star. Rahu Ketu dispositor, when they're conjunct together, mutually aspect each other, you are, regardless of how bad your horoscope is, you will succeed in life, whether you succeed now or at 40, 50, but you will find that higher ground in your life. So guys, this was my analysis of Rahu Ketu 3rd 9th axis dance. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. Again, if you want to know where your Rahu Ketu are, all the other planetary placements, my books, reports, consultation, Rahu Ketu reading, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Yes, of course. Tomorrow. Well, no, tomorrow's my big game, man. I'm actually going to go see. Hey, watch me on. If you have NBA TV, watch the Wizards versus Cavs on Monday, and see who's sitting right behind the Cavaliers bench. Hopefully, right behind LeBron James, so I can tease him and taunt him. But that's another thing. But yeah, watch for me. Bye bye.